Nigeria's economy shows signs of recovery, but challenges persist. New FRSC crackdown targets overloading in ABUJA taxes. Kenya extends debt profile with $1.5 billion EUROBOND. Cameroon's machinery imports surge signaling industrial ambition. And away from Africa, MUNICH airport shut down twice in 2 days over drone sighting. And in health, SOKOTO UNICEF flag of awareness drive on measles, rubella and polio vaccines. In business, IMF approves fresh support for Liberia's economic reforms. And in sports, EUROBOND sets EPL record with 298 appearances. And now to the news in full. Nigeria ended September 2025 with caution optimism as key reform under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu began to yield results. Inflation slowed to 20.1% in August, its lowest in over 3 years, while the central bank's tighter monetary policy and a stronger naira helped stabilization in the markets. Investors' confidence also rose after BlackRock's Bayo Ogunlesi pledged billions of dollars to Nigeria's energy, aviation, and port sectors, while the Purchasing Managers Index signaled 10 straight months of private sector growth. Despite these positive signals, deeply rooted economic challenges remain. Public debt has surged to about $100 billion, draining government's revenue through interest payments, while oil prices remain below budgetary targets. Over half of Nigeria's population still live in poverty, with widespread food insecurity, electricity shortage, and inadequate infrastructure slowing border growth. Analysts warn that while reforms have boosted short-term stability, Nigeria must achieve much more growth to meet its ambition of becoming a $1 trillion economy by 2030. This will require massive investment in education, infrastructure, and governance. For now, experts say that the country recovery remains fragile as persistent social and structural issues continue to weigh down on everyday Nigerians. Moving on, the Federal Road Safety Corps has arrested more than 250 commercial taxi drivers in the Federal Capital City, FCT, for flaunting road safety regulation on overloading. The arrests were made in the first 2 days of a reinforcement campaign launched on October 2nd, aimed at curbing the common practice of placing 2 passengers in the front seats of taxis. The FCT sector commander, Felix Liman, said the crackdown is part of efforts to restore passengers' dignity and safety on the road. According to him, overloading prevents passengers from properly using seatbelts and significantly increases the risk of accidents. It also places unnecessary stress on vehicle tires and suspension system while reducing the driver's ability to maintain control, particularly in emergency situations. He emphasized that enforcement was the most effective way to ensure compliance with safety laws and protect lives. The campaign follows months of consultation with transport unions and stakeholders who have expressed full support for the exercise. The man also announced that mobile magistrate courts will begin sitting across Abuja from October 6 to allow swift prosecution of offenders. He warned that the commercial drivers operating vehicles that fall below safety standards must upgrade them or risk impoundment, stressing that the Corps remains committed to safer and dignified transportation for all commuters in FCT. And now moving on to Kenya, where we see that they've raised about $1.5 billion through a new international bond issue, using the most proceeds to buy back its $1 billion 2028 note and ease near-term repayment pressure. The sale launched on October 12 include 7-year and 12-year tranches prices at a blend yield of 8.7%. Strong investors' demand saw order books exceed $7.5 billion, allowing final pricing to be tightened. The deal pushes Kenya's debt maturity further out to 2022 and 2037, giving the Treasury more room to manage obligation under its Vision 2030 agenda. Officials noted that the new coupon is roughly 100 basis points lower than the earlier bound secondary market yield, though annual savings estimates between $100 and $150 million will be confirmed after settlement. Investors' appetite was supported by the 2024 Financial Act, which broadens Kenya's tax base alongside favorable global conditions after U.S. Federal Reserve's October 2024 rate cuts. Despite the successful placement, Kenya's debt stock remained high at about 68% of GDP, with nearly half domination in foreign currency, leaving the economy exposed to shilling depreciation. And now moving on to Cameroon, where we see imports of mechanical and electrical equipment rose by 30% in the first quarter of 2025, reaching nearly 190 billion CFA franca since January 2023. The country has accumulated over 1.6 trillion CFA francas worth of such imports, underlining a major push to strengthen industrial capacity. Yet, despite the spending, the manufacturing sector shares GDP that has remained flat at about 12.8%. Analysts say this investment wave shows resilience amidst global crisis from COVID-19 pandemic to supply chain stock and soaring energy costs. While the influx of new equipment remains questionable about whether industry are expanding or simply an upgrade, national data points to growth with industrial output of up to 40% since 2019. Since the gap between investment and economic transformation remains evident, experts stress that the success will depend on whether Cameroon can convert this heavy import into real productivity gain. Tackling energy shortage, logistic hurdles, and inconsistent policy will be crucial to sustaining the momentum. With domestic demand for locally made goods rising, the machinery boom could accelerate industrialization and governance. In Munich International Airport was forced to halt flights for the second time in 2 days after unconfirmed drone sighting disrupted operation ahead of the October 1st finale. The temporary shutdown, which lasted into Saturday morning, left about 6,500 passengers stranded, with about 58 cancellation and more than 20 flight diversion. The airport, which is one of Europe's busiest, has already been closed down overnight into Friday, October 23rd of 2025 for the same reason. Authorities remain on high alert as unexplained drone activities continue to cause disruption at airports in Germany, Denmark, and Norway. Belgium's defense ministry also reported drones flying near its military base on Friday. European leaders are now under pressure to strengthen airspace security as Denmark has already begun ban for civil drone flights and is pushing for a drone wall initiative, a continent-wide network of detection and interception system. The incident comes as Munich is about to host its globally renowned October 1st, adding to the urgency of protecting both travelers and major public gathering. We're going to a quick breakdown. Once we return, the news continues. We'll be right back.
Industry cloud platforms. Industry cloud platforms offer tailored solutions for specific industries such as healthcare, finance, and manufacturing. These platforms provide specialized tools to meet regulatory compliance requirements while boosting operational efficiency. For example, healthcare cloud platforms streamline patient data management and support care coordination. However, the challenge lies in ensuring data security and interoperability between platforms. The market for industry cloud platforms is expected to reach $83 billion by 2025.
Yeah, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still Idea TV News Updates, and now to the rest of the news. In health, the Sokoto state government, in partnership with UNICEF, has embarked on a sensitization drive to encourage parents to vaccinate their children against measles, rubella, and polio viruses. The awareness campaign kicked off with a stakeholders meeting at the specialist hospital in Sokoto, drawing government officials, healthcare workers, journalists, and also social media influencers. Health Promotion Officer Mr. Sheibu Shehu stressed the importance of routine vaccination, assuring parents that vaccines are both safe and effective. He warned that measles, rubella, and polio can lead to severe complications such as pneumonia, brain damage, and even deaths if children remain unprotected. To curb to begin his vaccination exercise in a local government in Sokoto before expanding simultaneously to other 23 councils. The campaign aims to reach about 2 million children across Sokoto, with healthcare workers deployed to ensure no community is left behind. Authorities and UNICEF emphasizes that the success of the program relies on cooperation of parents, healthcare personnel, and local leaders, all working together to secure a healthier and brighter future for the children in the state. In business, the International Monetary Fund has approved a disbursement of $26.5 million to Liberia following the second review of its extended credit facility. The funds, the IMF explained, are designed to strengthen macroeconomic stability, reduce debt risk, and support governance reforms. This brings total disbursements under the 40-month program launched in September 2024 to about $79.4 million. The IMF praises Libya's progress in implementing sound macro policies, including reducing the fiscal deficits, shoring up foreign exchange reserve, and responding quickly to abrupt end of major United States grant supports. By cutting low-priority spending and boosting domestic revenue, the government was able to protect key social programs once funded by the U.S. aid. Looking ahead, the fund urged Liberia to raise more domestic revenue through higher value-added tax, income tax reform, and fewer exemptions. While maintaining fiscal discipline, the IMF projects the country's economy will grow by 4.6% in 2025 and accelerate to 5.4% in 2026. Driven by mining, especially gold and iron ore, and a rebound in agriculture. And finally, in sports, Super Eagles midfielder Alex Iwobi has matched Shola Aminobi's long-standing record as Nigerian's player with the most Premier League appearances. The Fulham star reached his 297th game on Friday, where he started against Bournemouth, equaling the mark Aminobi sets during his 14-year career at Newcastle. Iwobi, who began his top-flight journey at Arsenal before moving down to Everton and now in Fulham, has earned praises for his consistency and adaptability. At 28, he remains the only active Nigerian still competing at this level, with the likes of Winfred Ndidi and Kelechi Iheanacho no longer in the league. His milestone comes just days after Fulham joined Nigeria's Independence Day celebration with a green theme event and special jerseys. The midfielder now stands ahead of other Nigerian greats like Nwankwo Kanu, Yakubu Ayegbeni, John Obi Mikel, and in all-time appearances charts. With his next game, Iwobi has the chance to set a new outright record and become Nigeria's undisrupted Premier League Iron Man, cementing his place among the country's football legends. And that's all that we have for you on Idea TV News Updates today. But before we go, here's a recap of the headlines. Nigeria's economy shows signs of recovery, but challenges persist. New FRSC crackdown targets overloading in ABUJA taxes. Kenya extend debt profile with $1.5 billion Eurobond. Cameroon's machinery imports surge, signaling industrial ambition. And away from Africa, we see that MUNICH airport shut down twice in 2 days over drone sighting. In health, SOKOTO UNICEF flag of awareness to drive on measles, rubella, and polio vaccines. Meanwhile, in business, IMF approves fresh support for Libya's economic reforms. And finally, in sports, EUROBOND sets EPL record with 298 appearances. Do not forget to follow us across all social media platforms at Idea Television. I am Paul Oladipupo. Thanks for watching.